sound like Peter Frampton does. He actually speaks. This one's Bon Jovi, and Bon Jovi uses it a lot too, and it's just a real cool sounding effect. Go ahead. It's not playing.
Not yet.
It's not playing. That's all there is. So, but basically, I mean, all he's doing is. And then he's adding a talk box, which I can kind of model it with this pedal. It tries to model it, but it's not the closest you can get, but it's. So that's basically just his guitar playing, and then it's added with the vocals, and it makes a real interesting combination. It sounds real cool. The next one is also.
Can you play the sounds like it?
Need a voice box. Need a voice box.
Anyways, so the next one I'm going to talk about is this is the last effect I'm going to talk about is wah pedals. Y'all have probably heard about wah pedals, and there's a reason it's called a wah. It's because it sounds like it's making a wah sound. It's like wah wah wah. Anyways, they are very common in a lot of stuff. The clip I have is a Metallica solo that uses a wah pedal. Anyways, so I don't have a wah pedal today, but it's basically like a tone knob on the guitar. Y'all know how when you turn the tone knob down, it cuts the treble from the sound signal. It's like a tone knob in a pedal form on the floor, and they have different voicings, different styles, different whatever. You can do whatever with them. And so basically it's just your foot controlling the tone, and it adds a real interesting effect to the guitar. I mean, a lot of the most famous users, Metallica, Kirk Hammett, what else? Jimi Hendrix uses a wah pedal a lot. So anyways, that's wah pedal, and that's pretty much all I have for y'all on effects. I'm going to talk to y'all a little bit about alternate tunings real quick. Because...
Tell them about what you just used for all of those. You have
what I just used...
does them all.
Basically, all the different effects I've been talking about, you can buy them individually. They come in what's called stomp boxes, which is little boxes on the floor, little effects, and you step on a switch to turn them on, step on a switch to turn them off, and they got the little dials on top to change them, whatever. So those are stomp boxes. I don't have any, but that's that. And then they also come in rack units, which are usually more expensive, and they go in like a rack that's next to your amp or whatever, and those are what professional musicians use, as well as stomp boxes. What I have is a Stompbox modeler made by Line 6, and I like it just because it has like 72 or something like that different effects all contained in it. Now they're not perfect or exactly perfect sounding, but they sound really close, and so it's a great way to have tens of thousands of dollars worth of pedals in a $400 unit. So saves a little bit of money. And I mean, like, if I wanted 5 effects that I wanted to have, I would have probably spent $600 or $700 on the actual pedals, or I can buy this for $400. It has those effects plus everything else I don't need. So that's an effects pedal for you, and now I have all sorts of different effects pedals. Now I'm going to talk to y'all about tunings, basics on tunings. Let's see. So basically, The tuning y'all have been playing in is a common tuning. It's real standard, so it is called standard tuning. Standard. I'll write that. And it's also called concert tuning, if you ever hear that, because that's, you know, what they normally play. And it is also called E. That is what y'all play in. E. E-A-D-G-B-E. That is an E tuning. Whenever you tune to half step down,
like yesterday.
like
Yesterday,
what Sean was playing in yesterday, it's half step down. It's every note flat. So it's going to be E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, B flat, E flat. That tuning is also called E flat, because it's, you know, it's the E tuning, just half step down, that's flat. So those are real common. Most bands, when they play live, usually they play half step down from what they recorded in to make it easier on the vocalist. Very common. There's also a lot of songs that are written in half step down. Guns N' Roses, everything's half step down. Metallica does a lot of stuff half step down, and then they also play a lot of live half step down. Most bands do that. So anyways, it's half step down. Now, another very common is called drop D. You'll usually find a lot of some heavier stuff in drop D. Drop D is the exact same as standard tuning, except your low E string is tuned down one whole step to a D note. So you'll have D, A, D, G, B, and E. That's drop D. And it just adds that low D note. So you can do some kind of cool stuff with that. Power chords on the 4th, 5th, and 6th string, instead of having your fingers split, they become bar chords to play power chords, and so you can do a lot of different cool stuff with that. Now, the half step down equivalent of drop D is going to be drop D flat, also called C sharp, because those are the same notes, right? So anyway, so that's drop D flat, drop C sharp. It's going to be the same as this, except all these notes are flat. D flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, B flat, E flat. Alright? So that's the drop D flat, that's the drop D equivalent of half step down. Now we're going to go a little farther down.
Justin wanted to show you, he's got it in drop D if you want to show him what it sounds like.
Alright. Yeah, that's a D note. It should sound, it's the same pitch as your 4th string, and this thing is not staying on the low.
Another side, put it on your song. It's on the wrong side.
Oh, this will work. Anyway, so drop C. A lot of metal stuff is played in drop C. Metal, hard rock stuff. You'll find some lighter stuff, but not much. And the reason is because drop C is such a low tuning. So you dropped your D down to C sharp, or D flat. That's down half step. Take it down another half step, and now you've got drop C. So your D drop down the whole step is going to be C. A drop down is going to be G. D drop down is going to be C again. G is going to be F. And then B is going to be A. E is going to be D. So that's your drop C tuning. It's just your drop D down a whole step, or the equivalent of 2 frets, as y'all know. So that's drop C. A lot of heavy stuff played there. Bullet for My Valentine, Slipknot. There's even some Metallica stuff there. And then drop B, even lower. It's just the same thing. Drop all these down one more half step. So it's going to be B, G flat, B, E, A flat, D flat. So that's drop B for you, and you can do some interesting stuff in that. It's real low though, so usually for those lower tunings you need thicker gauge strings. But that's some of your most common tunings right here that you'll find, or at least that I use. A lot of bands, guitarists will come up with their own tunings based on